Hello everyone, welcome to another video. In this video, I'm going to discuss about the ChainTest Reporting Framework. There are different types of reporting framework available in the market, and Extent Reporting Framework is one of them. Using the Extent Reporting Framework, you can generate a detailed test report for your test execution. But unfortunately, Extent Reporting Framework is going to deprecate soon. As a replacement of Extent Reporting Framework, ChainTest Reporting Framework has been introduced. This framework is still in active development. ChainTest Reporting Framework supports the integration with the existing unit testing framework such as JUnit, TestNG, as well as Cucumber JVM. ChainTest Reporting Framework also provides a server using which you can also get the historical data for your test execution. So in this video, I'm going to show the integration of ChainTest Reporting Framework with JUnit as well as how you can use the ChainTest Reporting server to get the historical data for your test execution. So let me start by creating the Maven project. So for the demo, I'm going to use the IntelliJ IDE. All the configuration which I'm going to suggest will be in reference with the IntelliJ IDE. So first let us create a new project. Select the Maven archetype. The name of the project is ChainTest Reporting. I'm going to use the JDK 17 and the archetype I'm going to select is Quick Start. Along with this configuration, I will also provide the configuration for the package. So I'm going to change the group ID to com.learning and then click on create. So this is going to create a Maven project for us. It will also add the pom.xml, but the pom.xml will not contain any kind of dependency or plugin configuration. As well as soon as I click on create, it started creating the Maven project, but as you can see here, we have an error. The error says that for this version of archetype plugin, this is the version of Maven we need. So I can change the version of Maven by going to the setting of the IDE. So file, settings, in the search text box, search for Maven. And in the Maven home path, select the version. I'm going to select the higher version. After this, I will go to this tab, which is going to open the Maven configuration and click on this button. So our Maven project is ready. The next step is to add the necessary dependencies. So these are the set of dependencies that I'm going to add to our Maven project. As I said earlier, ChainTest Reporting Framework can be integrated with the JUnit. So for this demo, I'm going to show you the integration of the ChainTest Reporting Framework with the JUnit framework. So that's why I need to add all these dependencies. JUnit engine, WireMock, ChainTest Reporting Framework dependency, and HTTP client. To get the dependencies, I'm going to use the Maven official website. This is the dependency configuration for JUnit. In the pom.xml, I'm going to add a dependencies tag, and inside the dependencies, I will add the dependency for JUnit. In the similar manner, I will add the dependency for rest of the things. Since we are going to integrate the ChainTest Reporting Framework with the JUnit, that's why we need to add this particular dependency. So ChainTest Reporting Framework provide the integration with other unit testing framework also. So depending upon which framework you are using, you have to add the dependency accordingly. If I was using the TestNG, then I need to add this particular dependency. If I was using the Cucumber JVM, then I need to add this particular dependency. And then I'm going to add the dependency for the HTTP client. After adding the dependency, I'm going to add the plugin configuration for Surefire plugin, which is a commonly used plugin for generating the unit test report. After saving the pom.xml, I will refresh our Maven project. The next step is to add the required package. So first let me add the directories. Since we are going to work only with the test code, so the directory that I'm going to add are src test java and src test resources. And inside src test java, I'm going to add the package. To use the chain test reporting framework, we have already added the dependency in our project. Along with the dependency, we also need to add the properties file. The properties file contains the configuration for the chain test report. So the chain test reporting framework provides different types of report. The first type of report is the simple report. And this is how the simple report looks like. The second type of report is a emailable report, which looks like this. So depending upon what type of report you want to generate, we need to specify the configuration inside the properties file. Along with the different types of report, we can also generate the report and upload to a external server. That configuration is also we need to specify inside the configuration file. You can get the chain test configuration file from its Git repository. So this is the configuration file. So let me add the file. The name of the file should be chaintest.properties. This is the file which is going to be looked by the chain test reporting framework to find the configuration. And this property file should be inside src test resources. Now let us look at this property file and understand the configuration. So the first configuration is the project name. Let me change it to some meaningful name. So this is the name of the project. Now this configuration is really important because this configuration will be used by the chain test reporting server to give you the historical data. The second configuration is related to the storage. As I said earlier, you can use the chain test reporting framework to generate the report as well as upload that report to a third-party server. At this moment, only Azure Blob and AWS S3 bucket is supported. In today's video, I'm not going to cover this part. That's why I'm going to disable this configuration. And you can disable this configuration by setting this flag to false. Then comes the configuration for the chain test reporting server. Again, I will discuss this configuration little bit later. For time being, I'm going to disable this part also. Then comes the configuration for the simple report. Since I want to generate the simple report, I will enable it by setting this property to true and then also specify the document title. So this entire configuration tells that what is the class that the chain test reporting framework should use to generate the simple report, as well as what is the location of report and corresponding formatting. This is the class which will be used by the chain test reporting framework, and you can basically search this class and look at its implementation. This is the location where the simple report will get generated, and the other configuration are related with the theme and date format. In the official document of ChainTest Reporting Framework, there is no mention about these two properties, so I'm going to keep these two properties as empty. Then comes the configuration for emailable report. To enable the emailable report, we need to set this property to true and then specify the class. So there is a separate class for generating the emailable report. So this is the class for generating the simple report, and this is the class for generating the emailable report. And all these classes are coming from the ChainTest core library. And the next configuration is again related to the location of the file and the datetime format. So once the configuration is done, now let us add some unit test. To write the unit test, I'm going to use the wire mock to start a mock server. And in the mock server, I'm going to register some stub. Using the HTTP client, I'm going to send the request to the mock server and assert on the status code. So let me go ahead and add a new test class. So first I'm going to create a private variable of type wire mock server. To start the server and stop the server, I'm going to create two static methods and annotate with them before all and after all annotation. So using this, you can instantiate a new wire mock server instance. As we are going to start a server, we need a port. So there are two ways you can get the port number. Either you can hard code the port number, or you can use the wire mock configuration to get the dynamic port. I will use the latter approach because that will give me more flexibility. So to get the dynamic port, you can use the wire mock configuration. So this is the static method wire mock config. When you call this method, it is going to create a new instance of wire mock configuration. And inside this, we have a API for generating the dynamic port number. Then we are going to start the server. So server.start. Similarly, I will create another method for shutting down the server. In the implementation of this method, first I'm going to check whether the server is initialized or not, as well as server is running. And if the condition is true, then we will stop the server. So the test I'm going to write is for the following status code. 200 OK, 404 not found, 500 internal server error, and 400 that is for bad request. So using the server object, I'm going to register the stub. Using this configuration, I am registering a stub for the GET request for this path. Whenever using the HTTP client, we send the GET request to this path. The WireMock server is going to intercept it and return with the status code, that is 200 OK. Since our mock server is running on the local system, that's why the URL will be localhost. And then we need to specify the port. The port you can get using the server object. And then remaining context path. and then call the execute API. The return type of the execute API is response. Using this class, we can extract the status code. And using the assertion library, I'm going to add the assertion on the status code. In the similar manner, I'm going to write the unit test for other status code. For that, I'm going to create a separate class. And I'm going to intentionally fail this test so that we will have some fail entry in our test report. In order to make sure everything is fine, I'm going to open the terminal and execute the maven command just to make sure that we are running the test properly. So I'm in the directory where the pom.xml is present. I will call the clean, so it is going to delete all the temporary directory and then call the test. So everything is fine. One test is failing as expected. Now let us integrate this test with the ChainTest Reporting Framework. We can do that by using the extension that is provided by the ChainTest Reporting Framework. So on the top of this class, I will use the annotation called extend with and specify ChainTest execution callback.class. So this is the extension which is provided by the ChainTest Reporting Framework, and this extension will intercept all the execution and help in generating of the report. So this is the extension. In the similar manner, I will add that annotation to the other class also. Now once this is done, I will go back to the terminal and again execute the test. So now execution is over. Let us go back to the target folder. So you can see here we have a folder called chain test. This folder is coming because of this configuration. And inside this directory, we will see HTML report as well as the email report. So this is our simple report. It basically gives you the information about the classes, method, time taken for the execution, what are the methods that are passing, what method that got failed, and what is the corresponding exception. The other report is the emailable report, which basically is the summarized version of the simple report. Let me also add the tag to these classes. So when I add tag to these classes, the tag information will be also captured inside the report. So let me open the simple report. So now along with the other detail, we have the information about tags also. And the same information will be also captured inside the emailable report. Now as you can see here, in the emailable report, we are only able to see the execution result for the class in which we have at least one failure. Okay. So in this class, there are no failure. This is captured inside the simple report, but not in the emailable report. Inside this class, we have one failure, and this class is captured in both emailable report as well as simple report. So let me add another test inside this class and intentionally fail that test. And let me run the test again. So in the simple report, we capture the newly failed test method. Now let us look at the emailable report. So you can see here, since this class contains at least one failed test method, in the emailable report, the entire execution for that particular class is captured. I think this might be a bug which will be fixed in the later release. You should include everything inside the emailable report, whether the test method is passed or failed. Okay, so I will go back to the configuration and let's say I disable the emailable report. So as you can see here, since I changed the configuration, only simple report got generated. So the next thing that I want to show you is the ChainTest Reporting Server, which will give us the historical data for the execution. Let us look at the official documentation for the ChainTest Reporting Framework, that what step we need to follow to start that server. Okay, so we need to basically download one of this YAML file, and then using the Docker Compose, we can start the server. I have already downloaded this YAML file. Let us look at that YAML file. So this is the configuration, and the server is going to start on this port. From my terminal, I will navigate to the directory where I have that YAML file. And then using the Docker Compose command, I'm going to start the ChainTest Reporting server on my local system. So basically behind the scene, it is going to download the image. It will apply the necessary configuration, and using the image, it will start the server. And from the log message, we can easily see that the server is running on port 80. So we need to go back to our chain test.properties file and update the configuration. First enable this generator and also specify the server URL. Since server is running on my local system, that's why the complete URL will be localhost followed by the port number. So to show you the historical data for the test execution, I'm going to run the ambient test multiple times. For first 3 rounds, I will make sure some of the tests are failing, and for the next 2 rounds, I will make sure all the tests are passing. Now let us go back to the code and fix the test. So the execution is over. I'm going to open the UI for the chain test reporting server, and for that I'm going to use the same URL that I configured inside the chain test.properties file. So this is how the UI looks like. This is the name of project. This is coming because we have specified this inside the ChainTest.properties file. So just click on this one. It will show you the execution trend. For the first 3 rounds, you can see execution was failed, and for the remaining 2, the execution was successful. And here you can also see the duration. And when you click on any of the execution, it will take you the detailed view. From the dashboard, you can click on the insight. That will give you the information about the build execution and time taken. So as you can see here, this historical data plays a very important role in deciding the health of the project. So that's all for this video, and thanks for watching.